Hello and welcome everybody to an AMA for the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. I named this is a really long hiatus AMA. So I hope you love the title because that's how we feel.
We are all, if you'll be like, wow, they're all here on their live AMA texting.
What just happened with your phone?
That was an Instagram story because I was going to post on Instagram. I was going to
make a say, is it fighting back?
No, the irony is I just opened. Okay, so my new Instagram obsession is bookstagrammers. Morgan, do you know what a bookstagrammer is?
So I do, because Mike is kind of obsessed with bookstagrams, and I'm like, you haven't read a book in kind of a while, but you watch so much bookstagram.
There's
or like not bookstagram. He watches the booktube, like the YouTube videos about books.
Oh, I see. So bookstagram is like people post like really cool layouts of books and like really neat backgrounds, and like these are the books we're doing. But there's also a subreddit called Bookstagrammer Cosplay. And this is the most awesome group of people. Basically, it's people cosplaying as book characters.
I thought they were going to be cosplaying as book covers, and I was going to be like, I'm in. How does this work?
That's even better.
No, but it's really cool. So that happened to be a bookstagrammer. I opened up her page and she was dressing up as a badass female character, and apparently had some really nifty sword fighting music in the background. Shakespeare and Me. She's great stuff. No, but it's really cool because it's basically, it's there's something nice about cosplayers who are going based off of words. Like, you can, to an extent, create whatever version of a costume you see. So if your character's in a red cape, unless they explicitly described said red cape, which some authors do, you have a little bit of more freedom to create what you want. So it's a really unique group of cosplayers who bring these characters to life. And I haven't even read any of the Sarah J. Maas books, like The Court of Thorns and Roses, but they're everywhere on the Bookstagrammer because apparently there's a lot of badass females in that series.
I've heard the name of the book. Have not read it. Don't plan on reading it, probably. But
A Court of Thorns and Roses, I think.
Interesting.
I have been told by many people that it is 100% up my alley because it's like knights and fae and fantasy realms and stuff that would be totally things I would enjoy.
That sounds like something I would like.
Sarah would like it. That's who would really like it.
Oh, we have some questions here, and we're going to answer some questions that we have throughout. And Seth is here. We just talked to Seth and Asher. Get ready for that. The reason to listen to the audio version is to see their interview, so definitely go check that out. We do have some comments about the cosplayers. I think the early cosplayers of the 50s and 60s are basing their costumes on novels and magazines. That's cool. I didn't even know cosplay existed back then.
Right? Yeah. I always assumed it was like an Instagram or social media based. Yeah. They're in the 60s, Morgan. Can you imagine though, like
anything can be if you want it to be, Amy?
What if, like, in the Elizabethan time period, actual ye old cosplay is just people dressing up as like Julius Caesar from Shakespeare's?
I could see it.
Or
I would dress up as Bonnie.
Who would you be at?
Bonnie from Bonnie and Clyde, of course.
If she wasn't around, Shakespeare didn't write her yet.
No,
that's my favorite.
I also dress up as her.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Someone had to write something about her, right? Like, I'm pretty sure I could cosplay as Bonnie.
She's famous, so they better have.
She's famous. She definitely has a beret. Like, come on. I'll get a beret. We do have a question from Chrisia. They ask, when will the next season come out? Good question. We don't have the answer.
We knew.
The reason this is called "This is the longest hiatus ever" is because we don't know where the end is.
My cat's trying to break out. Sorry. My window's slightly popped open and there's no screen in it, so she's genuinely trying to break out of the house.
Oh my god.
No, it's hailing before over there.
It was hailing. But yes, no, we have no idea when Legends will come back. I think we're all theorizing what? Summer?
I would think summer. But
that's kind of when I think Supergirl might be back, and I think Legends and Supergirl are probably gonna pop on at the same time. So it'll be for me personally, it'll be a whole bunch of podcasting about nothing related to the show, and then suddenly both of them will be back.
I don't even know how we'll feel to podcast about the show again. We do have questions about the show, but we'll get to those.
What is Legends of Tomorrow? I don't remember it.
What is it about? I don't even remember what the show is, who the characters are. But we actually have a lot of fun hiatus stuff planned, which we'll, I'm sure, talk about throughout the show. We have one in particular you guys are going to have to do some homework on, so we're going to mention that.
We all notoriously good at homework, so it's going to be great.
Well, what's great about this one is Kat here has already done her homework. So the one who usually doesn't turn in her paper has already read it. So we're all good.
100% did the book report where you just put bulletin points on, didn't you?
You know what's kind of cool about going to Catholic school, which is actually going to tie into the book we're going to read, which is going to be whatever. But yeah, the good thing about going to Catholic school is we didn't actually need to read the book. They just kind of throw the information at us and be like, this is what you need to know for the test. And I don't think I ever really read the book.
Really? They definitely made us read the book in my Catholic school. I didn't get that.
We didn't have good, so in grammar school, we had like really good English. Like I learned a lot about grammar and like was very like, that was like the strong part of going to elementary school, Catholic school. High school, they only really cared about nothing, I would say. I'm not going to say, math and science. Math, I would say math because the science wasn't great. Maybe I wasn't great at it, but I also know you know what? The book we're gonna read, I'm gonna have a lot of stories about going to Catholic school.
Oh my god! I think our podcast episode is just gonna be like a Catholic school throwback where we'll exchange experiences of Catholic school.
All right, let's talk about the book we're gonna read. Just that way we could give a little heads up. It's called Her Name in the Sky, and it's about it's a queer book about these girls who go to Catholic school and like how to deal with like internalized homophobia and like also religion. And also they graduated in 2012, which is when I graduated. So I think it's going to be a very interesting book to talk about.
Sure. 2012.
That's when I graduated.
Sure. I was in school then.
I was in a type of school. I'm sorry, you graduated high school in 2012?
I graduated high school.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought she was going to be like, I graduated middle school in 2012.
That would be kind of crazy. How old would I be? Yeah, I would probably be like, I don't even know how old I'd be.
Kat, are you a literal child? You can tell us.
Yeah, I'm actually 15. That I graduated grammar school in 2020. Now, yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting book to talk about. I was gonna say something about the book, but now I don't remember what it was.
What about the title?
Oh, well, Her Name in the Sky. It's called. There was something else I was gonna say. It'll come back to me.
The author has a new book coming out.
Yeah.
Yes. So the author has another book, which is why we are actually covering it. Her name is Kelly Quindellin, and their other book that's coming out, also a queer book, and it's called She Drives Me Crazy, and it's like kind of a rom-com it's like a sports rom-com coming out. So
I saw the cover of that one, and I read a lot, but I do tend to judge books by their covers. I'll like go into a bookstore and be like, this one's got to be good. It's got such a cute cover. But I will say that one has a very cute cover, so I'm interested.
It does. That's a very like comic booky cover, which is kind of charming.
I like the colors. Like it just, I'm basically like a fish. Like I can be surprised. I can be drawn in by like shiny colors.
I do remember what I was going to say about that book. So one thing I think will be really interesting to talk about when we do cover it is how I think like being queer as like a teen has changed today to then, like when I grew up to now like JoJo Siwa coming out. So I'm like really interested to talk about like how things have like I graduated, I guess it's been freaking almost 10 years now, which is kind of crazy. 10 years ago and like how that has changed and has that changed like through religion or not. So I think that's going to be really cool to talk about. So we're going to be talking about that. What was the date we're planning on recording? Let's see.
18th. Yeah. So the book club is going to be the 18th. And the week before that, if we're lucky, will be a Harley Quinn episode.
Mm-hmm.
We finally all watched the animated series of Harley Quinn. I still have a couple more episodes to go, but thoroughly enjoying it. Kat has been trying to get us to watch this show
for so long.
A really long time.
So long. She's been telling us over and over again that Harley Quinn is great and we should watch it. And we've been like, Yeah. We're gonna get to it. And then finally I started watching it and I was like, oh my God, this is great. And then Amy started watching it and we were like, okay, Kat, we're sorry.
I
So
had
you
no
have to take my
idea.
recommendations. Come on.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't realize it was like adult version. I definitely was expecting a kid animated show, like maybe a little bit like how they've done the other DC animated shows where it's family friendly. I had no idea, and then we start the episode, and I'm pretty sure someone's head gets blown off instantly in like
the first
gory.
episode was really like violent too. I remember being like,
Mhm.
whoa.
Yeah, at first I was like, I don't know.
violent.
Yeah,
It's also the most like cursing, and then it kind of toned itself down. I actually I liked the first season a lot, but I felt like, and then still for season 2, like I feel like it's a show that got better as it went along. And then once season 2 is here, you got the Cop Club. I think that's what it was called, the Catwoman. I loved Catwoman.
Oh my God, the Cop Club. I just think all the characters in Harley Quinn are so good. Like obviously Harley and Ivy are so good, but like the whole ensemble of like all of the characters, Clayface. Bane is my like my all-time favorite character in that show. And the voice is so funny too.
It's so on point for like Dark Knight Rises.
no,
I think that was the movie,
but
right?
like a sarcastic, sardonic version of it. Like, I would like some donuts today. They took them all. And like, it's just, I don't know, it's just very fun to like even pretend to be him. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've definitely brought up a Bane voice now and nobody gets it. Nobody at my workplace, they're all like, oh my God, Amy's already crazy. And now she's really crazy. And
Now she watches Harley Quinn.
I'll be like, today I have a German Shepherd dog.
I get that though, because I mean, like that was like in pop culture, even if you didn't watch Harley Quinn.
Like the Bane voice. I liked when he would make the jokes about like being born in darkness or whatever. Oh my God! And when they go to like spoiler alert, I guess a little bit, but when they go to like his prison and he's trying to like the pit, and he's trying to like rehabilitate them through like game nights and stuff like that. It's so funny. Oh my God.
Oh, I don't know. I definitely made an Instagram video with one of my cats who was making a huge mess, and I think the exact words I used was, "I am an agent of chaos," and that's what it felt like. It's just really fun to do silly voices like that. Like the people who make this show must have had so much fun, and I had no idea it was Kaylee Cuoco until I looked it up.
Oh, I know. She's so good.
Yeah,
it's great. A really talented cast. So we are going to be talking about that more in length. We have a lot of other questions, so we're going to get into that. But also let us know what you want from this hiatus. From our views, not that totally matters, but from our listens so far, Happiest Season's doing really, really well. So it's just like and then we did our Alien episode, and like that one did okay. So it's just
how did people not want to hear about how it goes all the way to the top, guys?
Exactly. Come on, listen to the Alien episode if you want more. But also we're really happy to see like stuff that is like so off topic, like Happiest Season that has nothing to do with, I mean, we had Victor Garber. That was the closest thing we had. Is one of our most it's one of our most popular episodes of the hiatus. So Thank you.
Everybody was just in the mood for some holiday cheer, and then us having lots of hot takes on that movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. Maybe it's our sarcasm about the movie. So let's get into some questions here. We have Kenneth who asks, let's see. The Arrowverse has 2 new shows, Stargirl with season 2, Superman and Lois. Are we heading into a new era? Thoughts? And also, you're going to watch these, I guess, is another question for that.
That is a good, So I'm planning on watching Superman and Lois. I'll be honest. I don't know that I would if it wasn't for the tie-in with Supergirl, which I do a podcast about. So, but
you're probably going to do, I hope, a podcast episode about it in some regard.
I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Rebecca and I are planning to talk about it in some variety. But would I have normally watched it? I don't know. The trailer made it look like they have a budget, but then everything I hear about the show doesn't make me feel good about what's going to happen, like in the show. So.
You mean like COVID related issues, like they're having trouble with filming things, or just
like what the storyline
like the plot has to do with like Superman cheating on
I think
like
there's going to be
Lois.
a love it sounds very much like there's going to be a love triangle with Lana Lang, which I watched that show for 10 years and I don't want to watch that show anymore. And like
Guys.
them being back in Smallville, why? And like when I watched the trailer and I was like, his teenage sons don't know he's Superman. I think that's when I had to like put the phone down and just like look off into the distance.
They're pretty stupid.
That's like,
Dad, how do you run so fast? I was on the track team.
well, that's just kind of frustrating because it's like it's supposed to be Superman and Lois, not Superman and Lois question mark.
I heard Lois also like just wasn't in the trailer that much. So
Yeah, she was kind of in the trailer, but it was like
Iris.
kind of like as a wife and mom. It was kind of like these two boys, and I was like, really?
You would think they would learn. You would think they would watch The Flash and see the response to Iris and be like, wow, this really strong female character. Let's make her a really strong female character. I don't know. It feels like they have already shot themselves in the foot, but we've been surprised before. So
yeah,
let's give them the benefit of one season. They get for one season.
I also just don't want another Superman show. I really don't know what you can do with Superman at this point. I really don't. And not to knock, because like I think there's some great comics with Superman, but as a TV show that's probably gonna run for so many seasons, like if this was a mini series, I'd be super excited because like, oh, you're telling this like really long tale, something maybe a different angle from Superman, but this does look like Smallville, and it does look like everything else we've seen.
That's
before.
my problem is that it looks like small. I don't know what the choice was to like make a Superman show, but then set it in the same setting as the Superman show that was on for a solid decade. It's like we've seen them be in Smallville before. Like, move on, do something different.
I agree with you. Now, Stargirl was another show that was mentioned. I still have not seen past the pilot, so
I haven't seen even the pilot, but I had it all on my DVR, and then I was like, dude, it's on HBO Max, so I deleted it off my DVR, but I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Oh, can hear Amy.
I'm here. I promise.
Okay, you're good.
Well, I was saying I was relying on Kat to tell me whether or not it's something I need to watch. Like, if Kat's not going to watch it,
I recommended Harley Quinn. We'll just say that. And that's all I've recommended so far. Yeah, I feel like for TV shows, especially superhero shows, they got to kind of blow me out of the water just because, again, I read comics every week. I'm kind of ingrained in the superhero narrative. So I always say this too. It's just like my job is to write comics and I also write about comics. So when I'm relaxing and watching a show, I don't usually like to watch comic book shows. I know that's so strange, but I'm like, if I'm taking a break, I don't want to work.
I actually just started watching The Boys that went on Amazon,
which I heard was great.
It is dark. I'm pretty hooked into it, but it is dark because all the superheroes are just absolutely terrible people. Like terrible people. I was watching an episode last night. Like, I don't think this is a big spoiler, but like they get to save people on a plane, but then like the pilots all get killed and they're like, well, I don't know how to fly a plane and like the navigation's all out, so I guess we just got to take off. And the like, so there's two superheroes and the girl superhero is like, we can't just leave everybody there. She's like, let's at least take this one child. He was like, what? So the kid can tell everybody we just left everybody to die? No, let's go. And they just leave the plane full of people to go down. And it's like, that show is very, very dark.
I heard good stuff, and also like I heard that plot line gets developed more, which is interesting. Amazon Prime in general. Well, no, the plane one in particular. Like I know that one. Yeah, that supposedly is like even in season 2 they talk about it. But Amazon Prime, they got some good shows. I'm really excited for Invincible. So like speaking of superhero shows, they gotta blow me out of the water. Invincible is written by Robert Kirkman, who did The Walking Dead. It's his superhero comic. And it's a cartoon, but it's also an adult cartoon, but not in a Harley Quinn way where it's a comedy. It's like a drama cartoon. So I'm like,
where's
gonna be Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, nice.
Not out yet.
Prime's doing pretty good.
But that's something I'm excited for. Amazon Prime also has The Wilds, which I really, really enjoyed.
Oh my god. Yes, I enjoyed that a lot too. Yes, it was like, what if Lost but just teenage girls? And I was like, you've just sold me this show. Like,
you should watch it.
This.
The only thing I've seen about it is someone's like funeral and they were singing like a Jay-Z song or something.
Because all they do, because I showed Julius and Phil the episode and I warned them before they watched them, like they reference Pink. a lot. Like,
Hey, you
they
guys haven't
don't.
seen
And
12 Monkeys. There's a pretty good Pink reference in 12 Monkeys that I'm deeply sad that you
do they reference it 4 times and then sing it at a funeral at the end of the episode?
No, they sing it for
Question mark.
Hitler.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
it officially, I don't know, man. I think 12 Monkeys Pink reference will outdo the Wild's Pink reference.
I really need to get to 12
Probably.
Monkeys. At
You
some
really
point.
do. Please. A cat will not like it.
No.
I'm pretty sure you will like it, Morgan. Sarah
It
loved
sounds-
it. I got
it
Sarah
sounds like
into
it,
it,
yeah.
and
I remember she was hooked.
done.
She
She
would
was
be-
like,
She'd be texting me and being like, I'm watching more 12 Monkeys. I was like, how much have you watched so far? She's like, I don't know, my life.
she's
In
like,
by
"My
this show.
I'm sure Pilot Pod, we're going to get to it. We have some comments about The Boys. I'm going to read that. The creator of The Boys hates all superheroes except Superman. He hates Captain America the most. So I guess that's why he created
Interesting. Well, I see the
The
main
Boys.
guy in The Boys is kind of a combination of Captain America and Superman, which is funny that Superman is the only one that he likes.
There you go. The commentary.
the best of both worlds. I don't know.
It's
I do need to
like
watch it.
those two characters, and then you just made them both very evil. What would that
It's a
be like?
relatively old comic too. It was like, not one of
Yeah.
the first indies because indies have been along for a long time. I would say it was one of the more popular indies back in the day, like when Why the Last Man was out and stuff like that.
Have you read it, Kat?
I haven't. It wasn't on my radar back in the day because I was probably like 5.
You probably shouldn't have been watching it at that point.
No, but I read like Alias when I was in grammar school, and I shouldn't have read that. And I read Watchmen
God.
in grammar school too. So I just like comics, man. Let me see when it came out. I don't know when the comic came out, but I know it's a Dynamite comic. I think.
I just
anyway.
I'm looking through the
Right.
questions, and I see that Mark asked me, "What's the painting on my wall?" So
I gotta find that
I'm gonna
question.
kinda-
On your wall.
I'm gonna kind of angle it. This
Is
is
it
actually actually not a painting. This is
a
this
photo.
is an Instagram photo I took
Really?
in
That's awesome.
in Italy. I believe it was Brueno, kind of like off the coast of Venice. And so what happened is I was on one of those sites that like prints canvases for you, and there was a big sale, and I was like, cool, I'm just gonna get like the largest size, which I thought was like a poster size, and then it came in the mail, and as you can see, it's quite large, and I was like, what am I gonna do with this? So I just put it on this wall here, and that's the story of that.
That was a beautiful story.
I
Thank
was
you.
all right.
Doing that
I'm
stuff.
obviously an Instagram photographer / artist.
Of course. I never knew that about you, but
I'm unraveling some of my story here on this AMA.
You're a much better painter than Supergirl ever was.
Thank you. Thank you. I have been to
guys
several
watch our
wine and sips. So
Oh man, I was just starting to be like, I think I would love to do wine and sips. And then
they're
the
really
world
fun.
closed. Okay,
And
I
then
have
the
to
world
ask you guys, like, first thing, if the world returns to normal, which we know it's never going to be quite how it was, but if you had the opportunity to safely go do any social activity right now, what would you want to do?
this is something that's really bad on me.
Hmm.
But me and my friends, Phil, Julius, and the gang, we love going to Atlantic City. And we keep talking about how we want to go to Atlantic City and gamble. So that's what I really want to do. is go gamble.
This is such a tough one because obviously they're the obvious ones, like hang out with your friends and have game nights and have people over. But I think I would want to go to like the theater, like go see a show, because I was gonna say restaurant. We've been watching a lot of Top Chef, and now like I'm like, oh my god, that reduction. But we've
You're watching
actually
Kitchen Nightmares, which is the complete opposite of Top Chef.
now you never want to go to a restaurant again. But like
that was disgusting.
And I've been watching
we
the Gordon
actually
Ramsay master classes.
nice. So we're all sort of learning different things about the restaurant industry.
Yeah, some better than others.
But I got to go out to some restaurants in the summertime, like, outdoors, socially distanced. So I got to go out to eat a little bit, but like I haven't been to like a play or a show in such a long. Actually, I think Amy, your play was the last show that I saw. I had planned to see 6 on Broadway, but then everything shut down.
I think you probably did okay not seeing 6.
I
only heard, yeah.
Ooh.
That
would be a good last one.
No. I'm glad I was your last play.
It was a good play, so I can, I think yours was the last. What was the last movie you guys saw in theaters? Because mine was Harley Quinn.
Endgame.
Mine was me, Phil, and Julius. We actually had AMC stubs, so we would go to the movies like sometimes more than once a week. So because we wanted to make sure we were getting our money's worth. Because what AMC stubs is, you can watch 3 movies a week and you pay like a flat fee. So you pay $15 a month and you get to see whatever movies you want. So we would just go see whatever movies. So
$15 a month.
That was
$15. And you get like free popcorn and you build up points. So we just utilized that. So we would go multiple times a week and go to the movies.
How much is a normal ticket in
$15, $20?
Okay, I was gonna be like, that's how much popcorn costs.
That was like when they had, what was it called, Movie Pass?
We also had Movie Pass.
Oh, I wish with all my heart that we had taken advantage of Movie Pass before. Because when they announced Movie Pass, I was like, there's no way that this is a sustainable business. Like, how does this make sense? And it wasn't. And I should have hopped in on the ground floor.
Oh, I did for a good year. I utilized Movie Pass. And but AMC stubs, it was definitely worth it. So the last movie I saw was Onward, which was like kind of one of the last movies that was out before COVID.
Before the COVID.
That was a good question.
It was a good movie.
I would go probably to the symphony or just like an audition. Like just like my favorite audition I've ever been to was for Puffs, which it was Puffs. That was like 2 years ago. And there was a point where literally it was just like a giant improv game. And it was so much fun. And it was their first round of auditions is before they even did any character work. It was a giant group. And they did improv games. And based on how people did in the improv games, since Puffs is such a collaborative work, you needed people who could work off of each other. And they wanted to find the people immediately who had that kind of vibrant workability. And so literally like they cut a whole bunch of people right away. Just like off the improv games. And so you weren't even showing off your skills. You were, yes, you were. You were showing how you could work in a group. But that was so much fun. And I laughed so hard. Like I laughed so hard that my sides hurt. That's what I miss. I miss being in an environment where you and everyone around you is laughing so hard that you're all going to collapse. Like that's the kind of stuff I miss. But on that sentimental note, do we have more legend questions?
We have a lot of comments. I'm going to try going in order. So Rockstar, that makes sense. Rockstar Pammy says, having Legends podcast about an episode will be as shocking as the day I actually have to go back to the office. I've been loving these hiatus episodes, though. Thank you.
Thanks. I think we've been having a lot of fun with these hiatus episodes because like at the beginning we were like, okay, let's do like a lot of Legends stuff. And then we were like, let's just do whatever. Like it's so long. This hiatus is so long. Like when did the season end? Was it May?
When did the season end? I don't even know.
Almost a year ago now. I think it will be in May. Wow.
And I think for us, it's just like, obviously we love talking about Legends when there's new things to talk about, but if we're going to talk about, again, aliens and what did happen to Sarah, like it wouldn't be as fun to talk about the same thing over and over again. So we want to talk about other interests as well.
And they just haven't released a lot of information about the season either. So there's nothing to talk about really.
And obviously we still want to give episodes. We love hanging out. So this is our way of doing that. We do have, we really been neglecting the comments. So I'm going to,
all right, speed through.
So Rebecca says, today DC Comics asked people on Twitter what DC movie everyone thought was a cinematic masterpiece. Do you all have a pick?
I love The Dark Knight. I'm sorry. I totally interrupted you, Kat, but I love The Dark Knight.
I think I have one. So I'm glad you.
Okay.
Dark Knight. I don't know if it's a cinematic masterpiece, but it's the one I keep going back to, and I think Rebecca will be happy about this. Watchmen, because it changed the book, but I feel like it gave an extra layer of commentary, and I always tend to go back to that movie and really dissect it, and especially the ending of that movie. So, and I love Watchmen, the graphic novel. And I had to catch up with the show. I only saw the pilot of the show.
Oh, the show is fantastic. I think you'd really like it.
So, and sorry, the phone always rings when we're on this.
Always. I'm gonna steal Amy's. I think The Dark Knight for me too. I was gonna jokingly say Supergirl the movie, but we all know that's not true. I watched it this year for a Supergirl debate about whether it was a good or bad film, and I took the negative side. So
the thing I liked about The Dark Knight, and what I like about a lot of Christopher Nolan films, is that you are sucked in and you stay that way. There's like this constant level of anticipation that you're living at the whole time. It just literally does not let you go. Like the definite, when they say the movie critics takes you for a wild ride, never let you off the train. Like every Christopher Nolan film like that, like The Dark Knight felt like you were on Snowpiercer. You were just constantly going, and if you finish the movie and you go, oh, kind of like Inception. Inception was the same way for me, and The Prestige. Like it makes you work in your brain, but also marvel at what you're looking at. Like there are popcorn movies, like any of the Mission Impossible movies. For me, it's a popcorn movie. You go, you're not really expecting any sort of crazy story or romance or whatever. Like you're going to enjoy it and watch it 100 times, but you don't necessarily expect it to stick with you. The Dark Knight sticks with you, like the things you learn from it. And as a creator, you watch it, you go, okay, I'm taking notes, like writing notes, acting notes, all of it. You're like, this is, and I think a lot of people will say it is like one of the most definitive superhero films. And I like the fact that it's the second in the series, but it still sells a complete story. From start to finish, there is growth in multiple characters on every level, which I really enjoy. I think there are other trilogies that have come out recently that don't necessarily do that each episode. Like they tell new stories each episode, but do they really tell new stories? We're not sure.
But
I'm
I agree
not
with
ragging on particular ones, but
I was gonna be like, what are you talking about? Which ones?
Does it have the initials WW in the?
You said that honestly, I went Weight Watchers.
Yeah, Weight Watchers.
No. I'm thinking about
that trilogy
the
was
longest slow-mo race car chase in space ever.
I'm lost now.
Oh, are you talking about Star Wars?
Yeah. So and everybody has their own opinion on the second of them, which I don't even remember the name of.
It was something about a Jedi.
That's how I don't remember it. And I'm really sorry to anybody who's listening. I don't dislike it. I just remember watching it and I was like, what happened? Anyway, my friend was in it, so I loved it for her. Go Kelly.
Oh my God, Kelly is amazing.
I love her. Anyway, what other questions we got? Comments.
I know we got one from Seth, so I have to search for it again.
I think I said that mine was Amy's. I'm sure I've told this story before, but when I saw The Dark Knight, we went to an IMAX in New York, and we did not anticipate that people were going to be really hyped to see this movie. I don't know why. And so by the time we got there, we were in the second row of the IMAX, and I cannot tell you what an experience watching The Dark Knight is in the second row of an IMAX. But the movie ended, and I turned to my friend and I said, is everybody else really scared right now? I was terrified. I was like, when you're that close, you are inside of Two-Face's face. It's a very intense movie that close to the screen, but it was kind of part of the experience of me seeing that movie and being like, wow, there is literally no escaping this movie. I'm in this movie.
I love those experiences. When I had a really, really good audience for both Avengers movies, Infinity War and Endgame.
I saw the Endgame in the front row, so that was not fun.
Oh, no.
You had to look up the whole time?
Yeah, that was definitely not fun.
Full disclosure, I get to movie theaters early. Like for movies like that, if I'm at a midnight premiere.
We bought our tickets early because we went to the city, so we that was the only tickets available.
Oh, was it
no?
Yeah, it was you had to pick your seats.
That's the worst.
Yeah, so we're we want to see this movie. We I was seeing it with some of my college friends, and they all lived in the city. So we're just okay, we'll see it in the city. But obviously, Manhattan, people are going to go see the Avengers movie. So, and there's not as many. I mean, there's a lot of theaters, but how many theaters are there? They're all going to be sold out. So yeah, we saw it, and we bought them that day. But it just sold out so quickly.
That's crazy. That's not one I think I would want to see that close to the screen.
No, I can't do any of that. Like one of the half of the reasons I go early to the ones where you can't reserve the seating is like if I'm watching a movie because of my neck issues, I need to be looking directly at it. Like if I'm looking up or down even a little bit within about an hour, I can't do it anymore. So I definitely like I full on will get to movies so that I'm the first person in line. I think for all the Harry Potter films, like from 5, 6, and 7, 1 and 2, I literally got there before noon every day.
Oh wow.
Like I full on camped out. I was that person.
I was just trying to think of like other movies I've seen in like almost the first row of the theater, and I just remembered that one of them was The Ring.
Really?
Another movie I would not recommend seeing that close to the screen. The whole movie is about a little girl who climbs out of a screen and kills people, and you're this close to the screen. I would not recommend.
That's not fun.
Nope.
I think the two movie experience, one experience that we actually didn't have seats. So it was a family-owned theater, and we bought tickets, and there weren't enough seats. So we sat on the floor. It was for Friday the 13th, the remake. We left. We left after like an hour. We sat on the floor for an hour, and we watched Friday the 13th on the stairs.
That's
like
hilarious.
that wasn't worth it. And then I saw Avengers Endgame again, and I got a good seat. But the guy next to me, like I had to sit by myself because of the way it was assigned, because there was one chair, like there was a one seat, and I was like, what? I was the martyr. I was like, okay, I'll go sit there. It's fine. So I sat there.
The movie martyr.
I was the movie martyr. Like you guys, you can sit with each other. I'll sit by myself. It's fine. So, and also because I had seen the movie already and they hadn't. So I'm like, you get the better seats. It's cool. So this guy next to me, he was having a conversation with me the whole time. But it wasn't like a nice conversation. No, it was like a very funny conversation. It's like, this is actually happening. So Hulk comes on the screen. He's like, you know who that reminds me of? Hank Hill. And then he starts speaking in Hank Hill, like his voice. I'm like, where am I? What's going on? And then it was AMC, so it was like a dine-in. So he got macaroni, and he was like mac and cheese. And he started talking about his mac and cheese. Say, have you ever had this mac and cheese? So
oh
good.
My god,
it's the best mac and cheese ever. And I'm like,
how did you not leave?
Awesome. Because the other people I was seeing the movie with, I was gonna ditch them. So I was like, I've seen the movie already. So I was like, I wasn't. My experience wasn't ruined, but I also really didn't want to talk to this person. So I'm like, I couldn't. The Hank Hill one got me a lot. I just started laughing. This is happening right now.
The mental image of Kat like slowly trying to get away from a strange person eating mac and cheese in her face.
Wait, did they have the mac and cheese? Like that was what he brought, like one of those little like microwave heat 'em up bowls?
No, luckily he ordered it, and he gave me a review of the mac and cheese as we were watching.
He gave you some of the mac and cheese.
Oh my god!
He might have offered it. I don't remember. But I don't think he did. He really was curious about my opinion. Yeah, I definitely was tuning him out at a certain point, but I could not stop laughing, and it was a great. The thing is, like, I feel like that happens to me a lot. Like, a lot of people kind of like people like that will start talking to me and have these like off the wall conversations. I'm like, why do I attract that? Like, why is it?
I want a whole series called "Cat on a Plane." And it's just all the people that Kat attracts who sit next to her on the plane.
I honestly wear earbuds for a reason. That happens to me so often. I will just pretend that I'm listening to music and I won't be. All right, going to Seth's question because I finally found it. For me, what's your inspiration for your comics? Oh, thank you. Yeah, like Follow My Daughter, I actually wrote during the New 52 during that time, and I just felt like there wasn't a lot of character-driven stories or a lot of family stories. So it's just everything I've ever read in comics as an inspiration to commentate on comics with like Follow My Daughter. And then the dancer I wrote after college, and I just remember like the anxiety of feeling like you don't have a roadmap and like how that felt, and just also like being in the city and understanding that there's so many people around you, but you also feel like very alone. So I kind of wanted to capture that as well. So yeah, that's what The Dancers is about. And there's a Kickstarter coming out for issue 1 in color in about a month. Thank you. And there's a pretty good twist ending for that one as well. So hopefully guys go check that out. All right, let's see if there's any. There's definitely a lot more. I just have to go through the comments. This is what Mark HB. Again, this is from a while ago, but we're there's a world of difference between going to a Catholic school run by nuns and one run by non-nuns, Jesuits, non-nuns, Jesuits.
Kat, were there nuns in your Catholic school?
There was one in my grammar school, and she was cool. Her name was Sister Jude. She was like really old, and she like had a lot of cats, and she would talk about them. And we didn't really do any she like taught religion once every 2 months, and she just made us play games. So that was fun.
So chill. I had one in middle school, and she was mean. And she used to, if she was mad at people, she would get a ruler and she would slap it on the table, but like not on your hands, but you can tell she missed those days when she could like slap you with the ruler.
Catholic school is interesting because you don't abide by the rules of public school. So this was not by a nun. There was this teacher who taught me driver's ed, who, if there was someone sleeping in the desk, he would flip the desk over with the person in it.
That's so messed up.
I will say that, and we'll talk about this when we talk about the book. I always, because me and my brother, I'm a twin, but also my best friend, we went to the same school since first grade. So we kind of all went through the same education. And sometimes we'll look back and be like, we were kind of mentally scarred because we went to Catholic school, weren't we? Like, we had some trauma we went through. Because like you look back at it and you don't notice it. So I remember that we would have like retreats and stuff, like and this was in high school. And we had some guy come in and like tell us to meditate. And he's like, oh, do you see God? You see this cube? And then like 10 years later, my brother said, we were hypnotized, were we? And,
wait, really?
Yeah, we were hypnotized. Like literally, they were trying to hypnotize us. And I was like, yeah, we were.
What?
We used to do the guided meditation too. In ours, it was just like you were following Jesus in the woods, and Jesus was like, look, a flower. And I was cool.
You were being hypnotized.
My boy JC says a flower.
I also had a nun who taught me gym. Her name was Sister Susan. And I don't know if I ever told this story, but I was playing volleyball and I wasn't really good at it because I was just like kind of standing there. We weren't playing like real volleyball. There was like 15 girls in like a very small space. We would just like tap the ball over. So it wasn't real volleyball. It was like fake volleyball. So I wasn't doing anything because the other girls were helping out. I didn't have to do anything. So she was like really angry about it. She's like, if you're not going to play, just go be a cheerleader on the side. I'm like, why? Why can't I just stand here and do nothing? So Sister Susan loves sports a lot. And I had a nun who taught me gym. So that was fun.
Okay, yeah. Our nun only taught religion class and not gym. And now I kind of wish that she had taught gym because I feel like she would have been very terrifying in a gym environment, like just whipping dodgeballs at kids and being like,
instead of rulers.
Oh, did it hit your face? Oops.
Oops. Oh no. I'm really excited to talk about Catholic school with you, Morgan. I think we're going to unravel a lot really
deep into our trauma.
Oh no! Like sometimes you just think about stuff. You're like, yeah, that happened.
You're like, was that normal? I don't think that was normal.
It's like, no, public schools wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't be flipped over in your own chair because you fell asleep. No,
one hopes.
One hopes. I hope that answers your question.
More AMA questions?
Oh yeah, we haven't answered any of the ones we actually got. So let's do
one. What one? Would you like Nate's storyline to be in season 6, considering he has had practically nothing to do last season?
Honestly, we that was from one creative team. We got that question, and I did not have an answer because I really don't know what I would want to see.
I feel like more historian Nate. Yes. I feel like they very often forget that was supposed to be like his job on the show was like knowing history, and occasionally they'll remember and bring it back, but it feels like, wait, why is he talking about history? Like, doesn't he just love scooters? So I think that like a storyline that has something to do with history. Maybe he has to go steal the Constitution or whatever. I don't know. Suddenly he's in a Nicolas Cage movie.
Okay, full disclosure,
National Treasure or whatever.
I love that movie. Like, That and The Day After Tomorrow are my two. I don't know what I want to watch. I need something in the background. I'll turn on National Treasure.
I feel like that's a good background movie.
It really is.
I see somebody in the chat said stop hooking Nate up with people, and I agree. I think that's the number one thing I don't want to see from you.
Except if it's Zari's brother, because I see some chemistry there.
I mean, okay. I'm open to that.
Okay, so I'm going to steal a little bit of an idea from The Next Generation, Star Trek The Next Generation, which I am currently binge watching and embarrassingly have never actually seen all the way through.
I haven't seen any of it, so you're no
No.
embarrassment here.
There's a point where an omnipotent being known as Q puts the Starship Enterprise on trial for the crimes of humanity. And Captain Picard has to argue why humans are inherently good and kind and how they've learned from their mistakes and evolved beyond violence and things. And it's a really cool episode. I would like to see something like that where there are literally the aliens that they're going to encounter are like, look, humanity is kind of cruddy. And Nate, as the historian, has to be like, look at all these trials and tribulations we've had, but look at these points in which we have overcome them. Like, I feel like Nate could be really persuasive like that. Like, I'd like to see just a story where he gets to remind everyone the good that humanity can be, because I feel like ultimately Nate would deliver something like that in a really touching way.
I agree. I think that's a really good idea for him, because it's tough. I do feel like they've struggled with that character for a little while now.
Especially if we're in space. What's he going to history in space?
I know. There's not going to be anything. Aliens. It's going to be like my episode of the podcast where I talked about UFOs. We're going all over the stuff.
I hope an episode's named that.
And I have to say, I've like totally stolen that from like My Favorite Murder, where they scream that. But yeah, I mean, maybe that we're going to like Roswell or something. That's.
I would hope we're going to Roswell.
I feel like we have to, right?
Yeah, that'd be a missed opportunity.
So
or you get a crossover with Roswell, their CW show.
I like it. Just saw in the doc at Doctor in the House. That's a good buddy. Fiona said, if you still need some questions, where is the one place you want to travel to or visit once the world allows?
Ooh, where would I want to travel? New Zealand's good.
Ooh, New Zealand.
Even though I've already been to New Zealand, I want to go back because New Zealand has, I think, some of the most untouched places on the planet. Either that or Iceland. I want to go, weirdly, I want to go somewhere where there's nobody else. I mean, maybe not right away. Yeah, maybe first we'll go to like Paris or something.
You want that sweet like COVID quarantine feeling back, but like out in nature.
I just want to travel to someplace. No, that's actually okay. Never mind. Terrible idea. I don't want to do that. I want to go someplace where there are a lot of people. Yeah, I want to go to Comic-Con. That's what I want to go to. I want to go to Comic-Con.
Yeah, I want to sell comics. Honestly, that'd be nice. Go into a Comic-Con and actually like have an opportunity to sell comics.
Yeah.
For me, I always want to go Australia or Japan.
Nice. Yeah, mine's Japan. We've been talking for a couple years now about going to Japan, and every single time something happens to like push it off to the next year, and obviously now it's pushed off for the foreseeable future, but I haven't been in like probably over 10 years. I really want to go back.
Yeah, it's such an interesting culture. I'd really like to go.
Yeah.
We do have Mind the Gap, who asked, should Laurel Black Siren show up in the Legends of Tomorrow? I feel like we've talked about this before, but I guess now the Arrow's finished.
And they didn't pick up the Canary show, right?
Yeah, and they did not pick up that show either.
I was wondering if I missed that. I'm like, did I miss that this show happened, but they didn't pick it up at all?
Nope. No pickup.
Ouch.
We also have a question from Mind the Gap. How long do you think Ava can be in episodes by herself before being with Sarah again? I mean, I think Ava could hold a lot of episodes, so I'm not worried about that.
I think everybody's a little bit concerned about what it means for the character of Sarah. I don't think any of us want to see a show where Legend slowly writes out Sarah, because ultimately, in a way, I think all of us will agree that Sarah is a major part of the series, and it's hard to envision a show without her. But hopefully it's only 2 or 3 episodes. And if it's because Katie Lotz is directing, I will give it that. Like, that makes me as a viewer, at least you understand why they did it. If it's just like, oh no, we didn't have a story for you, you were abducted, not so much.
You don't get to see the aliens. That would suck.
Yeah, no.
I was just thinking Nate should write a history of the universe. Like he should be doing a web series as they're traveling through space. He's like, I'm a historian and I'm going to document like all the aliens we meet. And it's like this cute little webisode that he does every week. I don't know.
We're all for the webisodes here for sure.
I love it. So I'm going back to the doc. I see we got an email from Mark Bickford. He says, first, where in your respective home states have you not been that you would most like to visit and why?
Good question.
I have mine.
He points out that New Jersey is small. I might have actually visited every place in it. I probably have. It is pretty small. But I would love to I'd love to like go to the Pine Barrens, I think, and like maybe go hiking or something. I've never actually, I don't really go there. I don't go to the Pine Barrens. That's where the Jersey Devil lives, and I'm not into that. But I feel like there would be like a fun hiking trail somewhere there, but I'm just like not, I just don't know where it is.
For me, I'd like to go Niagara Falls. I've never been.
Ooh. Yeah, I've never actually been there either.
It's actually like for people who don't live in New York, it's not close to Manhattan. So
no, not at all.
Yeah, it's like 10 hours.
I think I realized it was in New York.
It's right on the border.
It's right on the border. So there's a half on the New York side and then a half on the Canadian side, right?
Yeah. It's supposed to be beautiful, but never been.
It seems cool.
Yeah.
Where have I never been? I have never been to like Napa Valley wine country.
Ooh, that's fun.
But I mean, I've traveled a lot of places. I've never been to Joshua Tree. I've traveled.
Really? I feel like that's the place to go.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not. It's far enough away that you would need to plan a solid day trip. Plus, everyone's going there right now, so it's kind of tricky. I've driven through Death Valley, but have not stopped in Death Valley. I know it sounds like a bad idea because it's called Death Valley, but
I feel like people definitely go.
I love the desert. I didn't think I was a desert person until I went to my friend's wedding in Seattle, and we were at Puget Sound, and we were driving from the airport through Seattle, through all the forests to Puget Sound, which was like 2 hours just in the trees, and I hated every second of it. I was so claustrophobic. I'm like, I need to see the horizon right now, or I'm actually going to get sick. Like it was really weird. I always thought I was going to love forests, but it's a product of where you grow up. And the funny thing is, she's an architect, and so we had this huge discussion about how the environment that you grow up in helps to shape your architectural preferences. And I always thought I wanted to be in like a cabin in the woods, but my like preferred is when I'm hiking, I want to see the horizon. That's why I love hiking in Southern California and in the deserts. Whereas she grew up in Seattle. When she's down hiking the same trails I do, she feels exposed. Like she's so uncomfortable because of the fact that she feels like there's no protection around her.
Whereas
interesting.
Do you feel like where you're from, like can you pass a forest and like see it, or is there just like
like I can go like through Big Sur, but here's the difference: is a lot of the forests that I grew up near, like Big Sur or Big Bear, were by lakes or the coast. So ultimately, the horizon was easy for me to reach. When I was in Seattle, I literally was like, no matter where I stand, no matter how I look, I cannot see. It's just trees. I didn't even realize it until we were driving through, and I didn't like that. You really can't see more than 50 feet in front of you. I like being able to see for miles, and that adjusts how, as I'm like creating my own spaces and interior design, it also affects what kind of a building you like. For me, I enjoy that more minimalistic kind of Scandinavian Swedish thing where it's a lot less like the minimalistic whites and tans and beiges, whereas some people like the really cozy cabin fever, which I again always thought I loved until I didn't. And it's very interesting, but it's a really cool subset of architectures. People literally study how the environment you grew up in suggests what kind of, say on a basic level, what kind of architectural house design you want.
That's so
interesting. Because I feel like
I want to go to Death Valley.
Nice. I feel like it's like at least where I am, like it's when you go into like nature, it's just a lot of trees.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like when we're going, like obviously 'cause I go to New Jersey, I know your area, but even where I am, which is more suburban, like when you drive, there's just trees sometimes, and just like past, like even on the highway, like
Well,
there's
yeah.
just
Or the
trees.
trees. These were like
Tall.
massive
Oh,
sequoia.
not as tall as
Oh
like
yeah, no. Like
national
in
park.
Seattle, they're
Yeah.
nuts. They're huge.
Yeah,
But think
But
about
I-
now, like an
Hmm.
urban jungle. I mean, you guys are used to certain levels of that. Would you find yourself comfortable living in suburbia long term, or would you always kind of be craving the hustle and
I
bustle
feel
of the
like
city?
we kind of do. So that's the interesting thing is like because
I was
Morgan's in New Jersey and because
Yeah.
I'm in
Yeah,
Staten Island, it's kind of a mixture because like we're both in suburban, but we're in places that have cities close by.
Yeah,
Like technically, I live in New York City, but it's a suburban area of New York City.
Yeah, I like having the city close by that I can get to because I can get really quickly to New York and Philadelphia. But I don't know that I would want to like specifically live in the city. It's just like that's a
It's
lot.
very
going on.
expensive, and it's
So
also a
expensive.
very different life. It's the thing is like where we're from, it's like you could drive, that's kind of like the way to go, and you could just whatever. But like in New York, it's just like no one drives and you have to walk everywhere, and it's just yeah, it's
also
just
weird.
such a
Kind of
different
blocks that
life.
you live in.
Yeah, everything's tight. Yeah, everything is it's such a different life. I mean, I love that I was a part, like when I was in college, like I commuted to go to the city every day to go to college. So like I love that I had an opportunity to be part of that life, and I have friends that live there, but I don't think I could live in the city.
I worked in the city for a couple of years and I really liked it. Like I loved working in the city in certain respects, not the commute so much. But yeah, I don't know. I never think about like, oh, I wish I could move to New York City and like live there permanently.
It's
I could
such
maybe
a
do like the outskirts of like Philadelphia, but then you're talking about suburbs again, basically.
it's so hard because like I think it's hard to describe the life of like a New York City person because I feel like it is so different from anywhere else. Just like the just how living is there. But yeah,
Well,
it's
even compared to New York, like the life of a Los Angeles city
oh
dweller,
yeah,
very
two
different.
different things, very different.
You have New York high rises where you could be living in your 400 square foot studio apartment that you're spending $5,000 a month on the 50th floor of a high rise, and they just don't exist in Los Angeles. So no matter what, Los Angeles, you're living in more of like duplexes and a lot of like you'd be looking at a series of taco shops with a laundromat next door, and you're like, oh my God, there's an entire apartment complex right behind it that you don't even have access to unless you go into specific alleyways. Like I remember trying to go to some of my friend's house, and the navigation system just kept being like, turn right. Turn right. And I'm like, I'm turning right, and there's nowhere else to go.
So many of the California like little apartment duplexes. I don't know if this is everywhere or just like LA. It's like the little square with the pool in the middle.
Or is that just in the movies?
No, that's definitely.
I've been to like enough of like friends' places in LA that are that, and I was like, oh, it's real.
You don't think about that because obviously that's not what you're getting. And
yeah, you're not getting a pool.
Never getting a pool. I remember like I have a pool, and I had friends come over who always lived in the city, and they're like, "You have a pool?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like what? And they would go in and be like, "Oh my God, it's crazy."
But think about it, you guys. How close are you to the coast? If you want to go to the coast, how long does it take you to get there?
Not far at all because we have beaches. I literally blocks like a couple blocks away from the beach.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, we're about an hour from the beach, I'd say. But where Mike, my fiance, grew up, he was like probably 15 minutes.
And so that's a huge difference to someone who maybe lived in some place where the coast is a lot harder to get to. Like they're going to have a different, need for an horizon. But it's very interesting. It's a really cool subset of architecture that I'm sure Patty is doing much better at explaining than I am. But I thought that was really cool that I discovered I would not do well in like a mountain cabin. I always thought I would be in like the She Dances with Wolves book or something. No, it's more like the Desert Sands book.
I don't think that you could ever like put me like out in the middle of nowhere where there's like nothing around. I would go crazy. I wouldn't
want that. Yeah, I like having people around.
You okay? Rowan would love a desert too. He would love to just be able to run and run and run and run and run and run. That and we loved Arizona when we went to Sedona, and we, as in me and my dog, we loved Arizona. Those
Arizona is great. I have family in Arizona, and a couple years ago, I went out to visit them, and I was just like, "Oh, it's so pretty here."
I don't
beautiful.
think I've ever been to Arizona.
You get
Should go
enough
one
of
day.
the forest life, but it's so intermixed with like the red rocks and the canyons and the mountains that it's an easy mix. Like it's just kind of perfect. But it is also a long time from the coast. Anyway, what other questions do we have?
We have a
Good.
lot. Well, we
Good
have one in the
question. All
comments first, and then we'll get to one of Morgan's. If you're forced to give up all the streaming services, but one which wouldn't keep,
This is
I-
tough now.
I think I have an answer.
Yeah,
I
you
would
go.
have to keep Amazon Prime, but only because all the
Ooh.
shows that I'm watching on it right now, not the original series, just all the shows I happen to really be watching right now are on Amazon Prime.
I'd probably go with Netflix because they have a lot more shows because they've been around longer.
Yeah, I would go with Netflix, although I feel like it would be tough for me. Like HBO Max and Disney Plus are so good, but I will say they're way worse apps. So
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever tried to watch something on Disney Plus as it freezes, but it's not a great. I don't know how they didn't work this out with all of their many monies, but
Well, they haven't
think,
had
but
many monies for a long time.
that is true. We have a lot of comments in the chat, so I'm going to do a couple in the
Okay.
chat, and then we'll go.
Speed comments.
So, little large A says, "Would you want full 22 episodes?" No.
Nope.
no,
That was.
I think
Did
it
you
would
guys-
they would just pad it out too much. Sometimes even with the shorter seasons, it feels like there are a couple episodes in the middle where you're just like, that was a struggle. That
Legends
one,
is a mini season sort of a show.
yeah.
I don't like 22 episode shows. Did you gals see Tenet? I have
No.
not heard it.
I did
so
not.
I have
I did
I
not.
heard that the sound mixing was so annoying that people had trouble with it. But I will look at it because I love my Christopher Nolan films. But I also don't love that he doesn't let people sit on chairs.
Yeah, that's strange.
I heard because
I
like
did not
acting,
like Interstellar.
I did not either. I was.
I
Just
never
kinda
watched
I
answering
really
it.
that.
didn't like it.
I didn't like the bookcase. I was a little confused.
That was, and I had just done it after driving incidentally all the way up to Seattle or all the way up to San Francisco.
Ooh.
So I was
It's also a very long movie, yeah. So I can imagine.
no, I did not like Interstellar.
Also, I guess because Morgan technically has answered that for Supergirl Radio. Did you guys see it? I have seen it. I
What
didn't
did
quite
you
like
think,
it.
Pat?
I didn't really like it much.
Yeah.
I was a little bored.
Just tell me, was Chris Pine good?
Oh,
Chris Pine was
he was
yeah, he
great.
was good.
He
I
was
love
great.
He's probably the best
Great.
I'll be
part.
happy.
He's him and Gall have such good chemistry. Like it's too bad.
Outside again.
Oh my gosh.
I can't believe it's hailing over there.
I'm gonna grab one from the doc here. This one's
Yeah, I was
also
looking
from
at
Mark. He said, Amy won't have an answer, and Kat might be too young. But having watched the documentary on HBO Max, what memories or stories do you have, if any, from the infamous Action Park? Did you guys see this documentary?
No,
I cannot.
no idea what you're
I
talking
cannot
about.
recommend it enough. It's hilarious. It's called I think it's called Action Park or like Class Action Park or something like that. It's basically about this insane water park that was in New
Definitely
Jersey.
have not been there.
And it was like everything was set up to like wound you in some way. It was called Class Action Park. It's a HBO Max documentary. It's so funny. And so they have a lot of people who were like either worked there or went there in, I think it was in the 80s, maybe up until the 90s. I think it might have closed down. They have like John Hodgman is in it. I think they have Chris Gerhardt talks about having gone to Action Park. It's so funny. So I somehow managed to never go to Action Park at all, which is funny because Mike and I were talking about how not only have we never gone, we'd never heard of it. And as we've established, New Jersey's not that big. If you have like a theme park somewhere, like why wouldn't we have gone as kids? So I asked my mom, I said, like, had you ever heard of Action Park? Like why didn't we ever go? And she was like, isn't that the one that everybody got hurt on? Yeah, I wasn't taking you there.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good. I mean, I've definitely been to water parks in New Jersey. Doesn't sound like I've been to that one. I was looking at the pictures and I'm like, I don't think I've been
There's
there.
stories about how there's a slide that is a water slide that is a loop-de-loop.
I saw that in the picture. I was like,
It's not
No.
possible. It's not possible. And they talk about how they would put like the teenagers, they wanted to test it out. So the guy who designed Action Park had no design experience in anything at all. And so
Basic
they would
physics.
in basic physics, and so they'd shoot the teenagers in there to see if it worked, and they would like shoot out the other side like broken and bloodied. It's honestly a hilarious. It gets into the dark side though, because people did die, as you would imagine. People did die. Several people died at Action Park. That's why they called it Class Action Park, because it was like the lost. There was a big wave pool that was apparently like people would just get sucked under and drown. There was there on the other side of the water park, there was like I guess it was like a go-karts. It was like a lot of like little cars, but they put the car section right next to the bar. So people would get hammered and then they would drive these cars, and sometimes they'd drive them onto the highway. It's a wild ride.
I would definitely.
I cannot recommend it enough. It's a really, really good documentary, and it is funny. Like the way that they talk about the different rides, and they would be like, this is the way in which it would injure people. And every ride was nuts.
Like something like you would see on the Harley Quinn animated series as like the one of those stupid superheroes, like the Class Action Man.
He's worse than Type Man.
Mind the Gap in the comments says it's basically a crime documentary, which it is, because this guy had no experience in anything, and he was just like, what if we made like they would have people go down like a concrete slab basically on like a little board, and obviously you'd fall off of it, and then like you would just get like super injured and like brush burned. Like, why anyone would want to go to any of these? Like, it doesn't make any sense. They had like, the thing that you get in that's like a float, and you kind of go over like a rapid ride.
It's like family. They're called the family ride, I think.
Yeah, like those little family rapids. Yeah. But like it would take you, and you would get stuck in like a corner, and then like the other rabbit would like fly into you.
Oh my god!
I really can't recommend it
when I was a kid.
So
I am watching that. We do. What are you gonna say, Morgan?
I was gonna say it was wild. Like Mike and I had never heard of it. We were at the exact right age to have gone at some point. Never went.
Thank God.
Thank God. Thank God. I would have absolutely not gone on anything. I was a very cautious child.
I don't think I would have went either. I don't think I really liked roller coasters until I went to high school. So, all right, but we do have a question. Robin Hood, what's a movie, superhero or otherwise, that you love that you think gets criticized unfairly? We talked about in Supergirl Radio, Little Mermaid 2. Go see it. It's a great movie. Gets criticized way too much.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was the question? Repeat the question.
Like a movie that gets criticized too much.
But you love it.
Okay, genuinely, I love Nick Cage. Not most Nick Cage films, but I really do like.
He's like a force to be reckoned with. Sometimes I love the question about Nick Cage is like, is he the worst actor ever or the best? Because who knows? He might be the best. He might be doing it on. It's like Rob Zombie, where they're like, is he the best director? But does he mess up on purpose? Like, I think Nick Cage is just like, I know how to act, but I'm not going to do that.
But I am choosing not to.
I'll be something's going to pop in my head because I feel like there is one that I'm thinking of and I can't remember it.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably something that I have that I'm like, oh my god, I know.
I'm sure we're supposed to answer Star Wars. I'm afraid I can't do that.
I guess I don't. Like I don't agree with
that. Yeah, and I don't have any particularly strong feelings either way. I enjoy watching the Star Wars films. I don't have any really strong feelings either way.
I feel like it's a movie that everyone has so different sides on it. It's just like you can't even say so many people criticize it because I feel like other people love it. So
yeah, strong feelings on that one. I have medium feelings on it, so I'm fine.
I have mech. They're mech movies.
Yeah.
I really didn't like the last one. I was not a fan of that.
Yeah, the
one.
last one I was not a fan of.
The other ones are all
Fairy
fine
Tale.
for
The
me.
other ones are good. Yeah, I mean, I like the originals. Like I watched them when I was little, so
I like the
You guys
original.
do Hale.
I can't this time. I know when you showed us last time.
Sorry, I'm really excited. The hail that's like coming down is like the size of golf balls now.
Like when I see hell, I'm like, oh
it's not
no.
concerning at all in California.
Morgan, do you have a movie that you feel like? Oh no, you weren't Star Wars. Okay, yeah. Do you have a movie that's
No.
criticized?
Dog is so concerned.
He is like,
I'm
what's
really
happening?
Here,
He
it's
is
okay. I'm here. I'm here.
I probably do. I nothing is like hopping into my brain though for that one.
We do have a comment from Rockstar Pammy. I'm so down for a Catholic school podcast. I think that book might bring some memories for us. Also, Lee Robb says, comment on Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, please.
I mean, we always try to bring it back to Sabrina, and so
We do. Not chilling usually, but we
I
do
have
bring it back.
started following this Facebook page about old houses, and they post these houses that were made like pre-1950s that still have the vibe of whenever they were
There's
built.
ghosts in it?
Yes,
Ooh.
definitely. But like they frequently post like Victorian houses that look just like something that Sabrina would live in. It's really very
That's
cool. And
cool.
some of them are really well priced. Like there was one that was in Scotland, and I actually genuinely also almost considered just being like packing it in. It was like
I
a
saw that one
downtown
that you posted.
beautiful house.
I
with
thought
the
about it too. I was like,
beautiful
I
land for like
just leave?
$200,000. I'm like, I could do that. That would be less
How
than my
much?
rent now. It was like $250,000.
It was
Shit.
nuts. It was so cheap. I thought about it too. I was like, what if I just moved to Scotland?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
And you think I'm kidding, but at the same time, there was a part of me that was like, they need vet techs in Scotland. There's dogs in Scotland. There's
Yeah.
dogs in Scotland.
I feel
I
like
can do
that's
great.
definitely an experience.
I know a girl in Scotland. Her name is Fiona. She can show me all around.
There you go. You can be the vet for like the Highland cows.
No. I have done cow vet stuff.
Really?
It's
Have you?
not- Oh, yes.
I mean, it
It's
doesn't sound
very
like it would be fun.
No, because you get called in the middle of the night because they're having trouble giving birth, and you
Oh,
have
no.
to literally pull the cow out.
No, thank you.
Using
Yeah, I
like
don't-
usually you have to use chains. Like literally you put chains around their legs and you just whook. So
my
most of the
God.
time guy vets are the ones that do it because you need guys to be hefty.
We do have a question from Rachel. Do you have any book? And then we'll go to one of Morgan's questions on the doc. Also, do you have any book or music recommendations? Well, the book recommendation is the one we're gonna be
I'm not wearing
reading. You can turn off your camera and then come back on.
Six of Crows. If you haven't read Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo, it's a duology.
Crows.
Six of Crows, kind of sort of YA fiction heisty novel at the same time. Like if you liked Ant-Man, I know this is weird, but if you enjoyed Ant-Man, I feel like you will enjoy this book. It's just it's got just enough mix of humor and heart, very easy to read, enough characters that it's interesting, all different told, like each chapter is a different character's point of view. It's a duology that exists in a world that's already been written about. I did not know that when I first started reading it. So the fact that I could pick it up and not feel like I was missing anything means that it was well written. So it's by Lee Bardugo, who incidentally did the Wonder Woman book recently as well.
Oh, nice.
Highly recommend Six of Crows. The audio book is spectacular. There's one character where he reads every syllable nice and slow, and I just literally skip his chapters, grab them in the book, read the book, and then go back.
Oh my
But
God.
everybody else's narrator is really good, and his not bad. It's just when you're really wanting to know what's going on, you're like, oh my God,
Get to it.
read
Get to
faster.
it. That would drive me crazy.
Oh, it does. But everybody else is really good. The main character, Kaz's voice is supposed to be like this gravelly voice. Oh, it's so good. His narrator is so perfectly cast. Sorry, audiobooking nerding.
Mine is When No One Is Watching. I read it
That sounds like a murder mystery.
spooky season. But it's like a horror book about gentrification in New York in
Wow.
Brooklyn.
I like that.
And it's really, really good. Like I still think about it sometimes, and it's very fast paced. So I would like pick it up to like read it for like a couple minutes, and then it would be an hour later, and I'd be like, I have to put this down and like get on with my day. So I really enjoyed that one. Yeah.
I love books like that. I have a music recommendation. So
Ooh.
that's so hard because I feel like I like different stuff all the time. I was gonna look at my favorites. You know, I've been
Sorry.
There's thunder now. Damn.
San Diego.
getting
I'm like,
serious.
there's thunder. It's just any sort of weather and I get excited. All right, sorry, Kat, go ahead.
So music, I've been interested in Harry Styles. Don't ask me why, but I'm like, all right, Harry's got some good songs. Dua Lipa's pretty good. Dodie's good. Who else do I like? I feel like I'm like off the wall. Fletcher, awesome. Who else here? I love my Taylor Swift.
Yes, Taylor. I liked I haven't listened to her new album, the one that she dropped like
Evermore.
right after,
I didn't like it as much. It's so funny because when that album dropped, like I have a couple of friends that like music.
She dropped 2 albums, and I liked the first
did.
one, and I haven't listened to the second one. Yeah.
It's funny because I have 2 friends. Well, I have a couple of friends who know I like music a lot, and they text me right away. It's like, "What do you think of the new Taylor Swift album?" I liked Folklore a lot more than Evermore. But yeah, Taylor she's been doing good stuff.
They say it's solid.
I like Taylor. Yeah.
I was also just flipping through my Spotify playlist. Metric, always a classic. One of Mike's friends got me into this band, Wolfpack. It's VULF.
I have not heard that.
Kind of like that. It sounds like a Vikings sort of a name. Like
and they have a song called LAX that's really fun. It's like very upbeat. And then like that Canon song. I don't know if you've heard that like Fire for You song. It's really good too. When we drive around, we listen to a lot of the like the alt. Was it like Alt Nation or whatever on Sirius? Alt Nation. Mike wasn't much of a alt kind of listener when we started dating, and I was like, oh, can we just turn this on sometimes? And now we have it on a lot. So
I approve.
Yeah, alternative music is pretty good. I was also, who surprised me a lot? Freaking Kesha. Like I was listening to like Pandora because sometimes when I'll work, I don't want to like think about what songs I'm gonna put on. So I'll be like, all right, like it's better. Spotify doesn't have a great mix. Like it's great when you know what songs you want, but it's not really great when you're just looking for something that's like anything. So I put Pandora on, and then I'm hearing Kesha. I was hearing this like really rocky song. It's like, who sings this? And I was like, this has a good beat to it. I'm like, Kesha? Is that you, girl?
She's got a good voice too.
Yeah, and it was just like, this is so different from TikTok. Now when I think TikTok, was that the song? It's like, wait, that was the song. There's just also the app. It's called Let 'Em Talk. And I was like, whoa, that's good. So I've been liking that. Amy, is there any songs? I know you're not as much into
different music that you've been into recently.
Different sort of music. I did not just start, but I've been very obsessed with like a lot of Ruel songs recently.
I love her.
I love that stuff. Hold on. It's going to drive me nuts. I think it's called Wolf Moon. Hold on. I'm going to recently
like something that Sarah would listen to. It was like,
okay, so full disclosure, I texted her and I was like, it's called Moonwater. And I texted her, I said, have you listened to this song? It was from the Dickinson like song that played in the background for the season 2 trailer. But it's called Dark Side, but it's by Moonwater. And I've been listening to a lot of Elle King, like Elle King stuff. If you guys don't know who Elle King is, it's like kind of country, not super country. It's just
I'm looking at her and I'm like, don't know her.
It doesn't have it's not like you're gonna listen to it and be like, I definitely know what song you're talking about. It's just there's some songs that when you listen to it, she did X's and O's.
I love that song. Yeah.
So her other stuff is really upbeat and energetic, and it's a lot of like "Girls Gonna Rule the World" kind of a song. So when I'm out working in the fields at the park, and I'm working and I'm just doing a lot of manual stuff and just kind of want something to play in the background, that's my go-to playlist. I also listen to a lot of country music.
See, I'm not a huge country gal.
Me neither.
Yeah, I think that's like when I didn't like Taylor Swift.
San Luis Obispo. When you go to school on the Central Coast of California and you're in the agriculture dorm, if you don't listen to country music, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I could definitely understand that being the vibe of that dorm. So I know we're going to start wrapping up soon. Were there any questions you saw here that you guys really, really wanted to answer before we wrapped?
Let me
I saw one about
Steam
Staten
Hill.
Island. I think they asked
I did too,
if
yeah.
there was farms still. So no, it's pretty developed now, but it used to be like back in the day, like it literally was just farmland.
Here's one. If Cara Danvers could travel with the Legends, what time period would we all want to go to? Like if we did like a crossover with Supergirl Radio, but it was the shows, Supergirl and Legends got together. If they could go anywhere in history, where would they want to go?
That's such a good question.
I feel like
I think that's a super question submitted from Supergirl Radio. So
yeah, it's
thanks,
from
Rebecca.
I feel like
Repeat the
Supergirl.
question again.
Like if Cara Danvers could time travel with the Legends, which time period or event in history would you want to see them visit?
Okay.
Just because we were talking about Supergirl's painting expertise, I want to see her go back in time to Van Gogh and meet the artists, like, or the Renaissance time period, and
get it like, guys, I don't actually paint.
and they go like, oh, Cara is actually a great painter, and she's like, oh no, it's just been wine and sips.
Can't you see, like, somehow they end up having to disguise themselves and one of them accidentally gets painted as like the Mona Lisa?
Oh my god, I could see it. Or like Van Gogh comes to the current time and he's like has to become a wine and sip instructor.
Oh my gosh, yes. And he's like, these absolute idiots. No, wait a second, he's Italian.
He's like, they have no artistic genius, and people are like, and then what do I do with this line? Everybody's drunk.
Oh my god, I love that so much.
Oh, that's such a good one.
That's amazing. So
I think like the suffragette time period would also be really fun because of Supergirl.
I love that idea.
I was just thinking that she would like want to go back. I don't know if she would want to go back to her childhood, but I think that would be kind of interesting. Where I get what decade was Supergirl? Like, what was her childhood? How old is she?
I've always assumed she's like around 25 to 30.
I could assume, but I don't know how old she actually is.
The early 90s would be her birth date era.
I feel like that'd be kind of interesting.
Like 90s Venice Beach, where everybody has crazy hair and skateboards and talking birds with them.
I'm surprised Legends hasn't done the 90s.
I know. I'm surprised.
How did they not do that?
Yeah, I would love a 90s episode. That would be really fun.
Like, we've been to the 70s like
have either of you guys watched on Netflix that show Everything Sucks? I think there was only one season.
Yeah, I loved it.
It was so good, but it was very 90s. I was like, like it was like my childhood. That's kind of like the music in the background. I was like, I don't even know that I like specifically listened to this music, but I remember every one of these songs.
Wonderwall was playing a lot. I remember
Wonderwall all the time, 24/7.
Wonderwall. No, that was really good. Netflix is canceling those shows left and right, though. Which there was a show coming up that just looked up my alley. I forget what it was called. I was texting Phil about it, but it's coming out in February, and I really like Teenage Bounty Hunters like a lot, and I told everyone to watch it, and then it got canceled, and they're like, "Oh my god, all your shows get canceled." So I have a feeling I'm gonna watch this show, and
that's funny. Teenage Bounty Hunters is actually on my list of things to watch. Like,
it is so good, and honestly, like it ends on a cliffhanger, but it's not devastating. So it's like you can watch and have a good time. I really, really enjoyed it a lot.
Rachel pointed out that the camp episode actually took place in the 90s, so we're wrong as usual.
It was in a camp, so that I feel like they didn't even like utilize any 90s
in the woods, establishing their architectural desires.
Yes, true. Rebecca actually says the Arrowverse wiki says that Kara was born in 1966.
Okay, so she's aged very well. So is Alex.
She looks great. She looks great.
I guess because she was stuck in the ship for so long, so she was not aging? ?
Oh, when she was actually born.
Right.
In my brain, I'm thinking when she arrived.
Like yeah,
because she got stuck in space for a while.
That makes sense, actually. Okay. There we go. Rebecca also answered it for us.
Thanks, Rebecca. She was stuck in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
All right. Are there any other questions we want to answer before we wrap up and send it over to the legendary listeners?
I'll say there's so many questions that we would love to answer, but because we're over time, I think we are going to wrap it up. But like we said, we're going to be doing Her Name in the Sky in like whatever, I think it's 3 weeks. I think it lands on. So please go read the book so we could chat about that and talk about Catholic school, I guess. And then also Harley Quinn is before that. So those are our February episodes.
Yeah, this was fun. This was just a chance. The three of us haven't really had a chance to sit together and just chat for a while about catching up on life and chatting with some of our listeners. So thank you for joining us. This was kind of a AMA free-for-all, just having fun, legendary ladies chat without wine. I don't know why we didn't bring any wine. How very saddening.
we brought alcohol to the game night and yet not to the AMA.
What were we thinking? Next time we'll bring some alcohol. We'd love to do this again. I have a feeling we will be doing another AMA before the show starts. I just have that feeling.
Yeah, hopefully by then we'll have a better idea of what the show is going to be. Hopefully we'll have like some theories.
That'd be nice.
That'd be
a great episode.
Then we can answer more legends-based questions.
That we'd
be really great.
That we won't know the answer to it all now.
No, not at all. But yeah, so next up is the legendary listener portion of the episode for everyone listening on audio. And if you're not, please listen to the audio version so you can check out that. It's so awesome. All right. Bye, guys.